G'day and welcome back for more Space Engineers Survival. Last time I had you guys vote on the colour of the couches, and with almost 1,000 votes, Capac Orange ended up ahead with about 56% of the vote, and Burgundy was next at around 36%, if I'm remembering the numbers correctly. I decided to leave both the orange and the burgundy because when you look at it from a distance, I actually like the mixed colours now. And when I made it all orange, it was very, very bright. So I feel like this is a look I'm happy with. As you may have noticed from the time lapse, there were a few things that I have done to the scanner room. First off, I have moved the scanner room. It was ahead of us. It is now to the left of us. And if we go through here, you can see this has now become the scanner control room. So I've got a little cockpit here because it's got the lower clearance, because with these ones you couldn't actually see the bed. So even though these are the button panels and button panels that I wanted, they're too high, so I needed to put something with a seat in here. What I have set up is I've set up a bunch of timers, and unfortunately I had them all set up nicely with groups, but we have a look. Having Reggie in this save, and with a bug that is currently in the game regarding the groups that exist on a grid when you have players enter your game, all of my groups have been deleted. Every single group on the base is gone. That means the sensor that is controlling the refinery room stuff is broken. Everything has been broken. It is so bad. So very, very bad. So since we can't use groups at the moment, I'm going to have to set up timer blocks to trigger everything and trigger each individual block. Ugh. So painful. But I have already done that for the scanner. So let's show you what happens. If I click start, bed moves in. Scanner turns on, and we get some nice bright lights. But before we look at that too much, let's have a look at how it appears from first person. The person lying in the bed. So, up in the bed, med scanner, start. Zoom, zoom. There we go. Gee, that one feels really close. Check it out. So you might notice something that I did that's very different to the previous one, which was to get rid of all of the circular bits. The circular bits were not the prettiest, and I feel that this ends up looking like there's a lot more movement going on, which I quite like. And it looked more interesting this way, I felt. And I decided to go with the blue and green lights so that you could more easily tell which was going which way. And if you look at my body, it is kind of trippy the way the lights go. I quite like it. It's fun. And then we can go med scanner. That's not how you spell scanner. Stop. And there we go. We get brought back to here. And from here, you can see that I've created a nice little protective bit over the floor hole. So no more falling in the floor hole when the bed's retracted. And I can't even fall in this side bit. I mean, I can do this. Wait, this? Yes, that. That's what I was trying to do. But I'm very happy with how this one's turned out. I deliberately made these lights up here only reach just barely to the edge here, since I didn't want them affecting the lighting from the scanner itself. But I was thinking maybe I should set up lights in the room that get switched off when the scanner turns on, as that might make it even darker in here and a bit more interesting. All told though, I am happy with this one. This is a big, big improvement on the previous scanner. The room's also a lot bigger, and probably a lot bigger than it needs to be, but I'm sure we can come up with some decorations to put around here. If you've got any thoughts on stuff I might be able to do to improve this, let me know, as I'm thinking there might be a couple of things, but it is definitely a big step in the right direction. These double doors are painful, but I like the look of them, so I'm going to leave them in. I have also, in here, finished the survival kits and painted the beds blue. So we've got blue sheets, because blue sheets are pretty standard hospital sort of equipment. Made a little bit of extra colouring in here, a little bit of extra detail, but this is looking a bit more like a little hospital ward. A quite cramped hospital ward, but still sort of the right feeling. And I think what I'll do on either side of this is try and make a little bit of an office on each side for the staff. Maybe even a little... Oh, they don't need it. Yeah, a little office on each side I think is what would work. That's not all the improvements that I've done though. That isn't all. Either way. I have fixed up this corner to a way that I am much happier. You might see that, well, I've gotten rid of all of the zigzags, and I have just squared the thing off, except for this little edge here where I've made it diagonal. The whole thing looks a lot more like the space that I created here for the crossroads, and I think it works best that way. It certainly just didn't feel right the way I'd done the grates before. This feels much better. I've even continued the windows all the way to the corners and put some little slopes in, although I should probably put a slope in that block and that block that I have missed. So, today, what are we going to get up to? Well, let's go to spectator cam, and from here we can see the whole base. As you can see, I may have set up this camera perspective earlier. Let's bring up the menu so that I can use my mouse pointer and talk through what I think I'm going to do. There was a suggestion that I quite liked, which was to continue this corridor down this way anyway, and then bring it across here onto so that we've got a nice square corridor. I do like that idea. I think it will work quite well, and it would mean that we could bring the corridor down this way across here. Could even put some rooms off the side corridor that are accommodation. Could put some accommodation off this way and down this way as well. Then the control center could be in here with other things coming off the side. It should give us enough room to create quite a lot of accommodation spaces without needing to go multi-leveled. I am still tossing up whether I will go multi-level somewhere, but I would prefer to avoid it because this base is already enormous, and if I go multi-leveled, I'm just going to get crazy because I'll want to make it feel like I really needed to go with two levels. And also, I kind of liked the idea of the level between the accommodation and working spaces and the hangar to be predominantly maintenance routes. So I'm going to do some decoration in the spaces beneath these grates all the way around and finish off those spaces as well. So with this corridor, let's get some light first. Another good suggestion I was given, I'm going through quite a few things at the start of this one. Another good suggestion I was given was to bring the survival unlikely, well, my panoramic LCD pictures into this one and put LCDs behind this wall with a nice big panorama running down so that you can see it through the windows. And maybe I'll make those pylons half blocks through here so that you can get a bit of an angle on it as well to increase the illusion a bit further. So that can be quite fun. And since I'm bringing in so many other LCD images, I think that's not a bad thing to add to the base. I'm also planning on trying to build a bit of a welding rig so that I just have to place the blocks down along here. I would not want to have to weld this by hand, but I feel like I may need to do some of it, at least up to the point where the welders can start from this rotor. Although I could grind down some of that, it wouldn't be that big a disaster, would it? The other option I thought of was to put the welding rig on the back of the drilling rig. In fact, that might be the way to go. Then I can just bring this whole thing forward, have the welders pointing backwards, since I could go with small grid welders and just use... Oh, I've got the burgundy selected. That would be quite off-putting. I may have some fun trying to get this to fit, but I think I could do it. So if I go with one like that, and then Yeah, so I could have something like that with... Let's get rid of beds, we don't need them. With my welders placed backwards like this. That way, the same device I can use to weld up as I used to drill out. Should work, I think. I think I might give that a go later on. Hopefully the welders on the small grid have a large enough range to be able to reach everything I want them to weld. I should save so much time in doing so. Alright, enough jabbering, let's get this started. I'm going to extend... I think I will just do this bit by hand since I'm going to add the welding rig to the back of that one. To try and see if this welder system will work, what I've done is I've laid out all of the parts for a segment of hallway, and I've welded up the bits that I wasn't ever going to reach. I haven't put the catwalks in the ceiling because they won't have an attachment point, and that's important because what I plan to do once I've welded a segment of this up is cut it away and then make a blueprint of it so that I can project it forward and forward and forward and weld this up with the rig automatically that way. So I think that's going to be the most efficient way of doing this. What I need to do now is extend these things out so that I can get that drill rig back. There we go, attached. Ooh, one or more of these does not have share inertia tensor on. Possibly all of them. That's not good. I hope I did have it on when I was using the drill rig. Otherwise I'm going to have had a slightly crooked drill hole. Alright, there's something I need to do with this thing. Which was... when I extend it next time, set a maximum limit on it so that it's not going to have the issue of extending too far. Since I should have done that right at the beginning. Alright, once I get it back inside this area, then I'll see how much space I have to put the welders as close to the blocks as possible. Okay, time to set up these welders. I need to get these large tubes. It's going to need to go that way first. Then have one... wait, backwards. I'll try and use the standard... oh, that's what I need on this hotbar as well. Conveyor frames. I'll try and use the standard tubes so that I know where I was planning on putting welders. Since I think I will forget if I don't do that. Hopefully that gap is small enough that this middle row will get welded as well. I suppose what I could do, just to make this a little more certain, is grab that conveyor frame and pop one in there before I pop our junction in. They've added the frame to... or maybe I just didn't notice. I didn't realize the frame was part of the conveyor tube bit. Huh. I didn't need to have it on my hopper. It's kind of handy. I don't know why. Don't know whether that's new or whether I just had never noticed. What I think I might do though is start building a couple of these welders on just to check before I get too excited and build everything here. Alright, let's see what this manages to weld up. On. And on. And that is a concern that it hasn't started welding anything else yet. Is it going to? It's totally not going to work, is it? No! Oh, what'd you weld up? Oh, it's getting those diagonals, but it's not getting anything else. Nuts. I should have known this from all the troubles I had with Igor. But I thought the range... I thought that was back when the range was really tiny. We may have to approach this a bit differently. It's a pity I put this piston mechanism over this far, because I would have been able to, if I'd had it in the center, push welders out sideways. What am I going to do? Can I fit the welder vertically? No. No, I cannot. I may have to get rid of these detail bits so that I can fit something a bit more square in and be able to weld up more of what's here. Because those are relatively easy for me to do. I'll get rid of them. And see if I can get this to at least do all the square parts. Can I even fit through anywhere here? Get through. And then I'm going to have to make sure that this is a single blueprint by doing this. There we we go. Let's try this on the bottom again. Yes, it's welding the floor. Okay. And it's welded the wall. So it should work on the top if I do that same arrangement. The trouble I'm going to have is I bet this is now too far apart, so I'm going to end up with this middle section missing. Which is a bugger, because I don't think I've got a way of getting around that given the position of the piston. So I may have one side of this corridor that doesn't get the middle bit welded automatically, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but it is kind of annoying. Alright, let's extend this nice and slowly and see if most of that wall gets welded up, or if I'm going to be left with quite a bit to do myself. For those of you who play with the small ship mega pack, or anyone newer to the game, the reason I can't put the welder on the center is because I need the large ports to go to the welders, otherwise the welders will not get any of the materials they need because the components can't fit through the small tubes. So, I mean, one armor block per section isn't too bad to have to weld myself and to have to do the angular bits. Certainly not the worst thing in the world. I can manage to get something lined up vertically here so that I don't have to do too much of the floor, since it's really the interior blocks that are the most painful part. They take forever to get all the parts too. Well, this may end up ridiculously oversized, but this should work. If I bring the tubes down and then across into this shape, I can then add a welder on every segment and be able to make sure that I weld up the whole of the floor. And hopefully we'll be able to do a similar arrangement on the ceiling. It should work out reasonably well, I think. Maybe. Hopefully. Having built this bit of the rig, I realized I probably should have done this bit differently, as I don't need to have that one that low if instead of having it there, I put it here. Two of those in, then put a curve on. I should then be able to put a middle welder on this side, because I'll be able to have it come off that junction there instead of going up to the top, and I can do another junction in the center and do the same thing on both sides. So it should work nicely. Well, I think this should work. Let's give it a go. Kind of wish I'd thought of doing this at the beginning, because I would have totally changed up the arrangement. But at least it has worked out in the end. So I think, aside from the little angular bits in the corners, this should be able to weld everything. Alrighty, here we go. 5.3. See if it does it that quickly. It'll probably even go faster than that. Oh no, it doesn't get the angle bits in the roof. Don't think I can go any higher on the roof either. That's as good as it gets. Uh-oh, what am I running into? Oh, I'll be running into one of those angled pieces that I didn't remove. Cool. Well, that totally works. Not perfect, but it's going to save me a fair bit of time, I reckon. Can I get past? I wonder if I have to grind my way through. Oh, maybe. Alright, I'm through. Can I get back? Let me through. Oh. Yes. Come on. Oh. Down. Yes. Aha! It's the most ridiculous thing. Let's turn those welders on and let's start extending. Let's go at 0.4. Oh, such a pity it doesn't get those ones on the top and that we can't do the angles. Still, the floor being all interior blocks, I'm very happy to not have to weld that by hand. Not to mention the glass. That always ends up being a massive volume of stuff to move. I can kind of imagine what this is going to be like if I tried to do this as a drill at the same time as welding. It'd be kind of cool. And with it out of the way, I need to decide where I'm going to cut this so that I can create a separate blueprint. And I think it's going to need to be here. If I cut this row out, I'll get two segments, which isn't great. I would prefer to have a longer segment, but I suppose I do get rid of this bit and then project the next segment. Then I could possibly make a blueprint from that next projected bit once it's welded. If I don't fill in the gap first. Right. Control B. Station hallway segment. Alrighty, that should be ready to go. Let's bring this piston back. Let's see if it works. Why aren't you welding blocks for me? I should be able to place these blocks, I don't understand. Ah, because it was a separate grid. That makes sense. So once I connected the two grids with that block just then, it all went fine. Okay, cool. Let's pick up the pace then. These little bits of stone along the bottom here could be interesting to get rid of without damaging the base. Oh, it's not too hard. Oops. Okay, now it is time to start some accommodations. I think since these are the furthest away, I'm going to make them sort of cheap ones. Let's get rid of that. Let's turn off our projector as well, since I don't really want that hologram getting in the way. And I think the way I might arrange these is to have sort of a central corridor going back. Just a little thin corridor. Off that there will be a bathroom and then we'll have two bunk rooms on either side. Something like this where I'll use half blocks to have the corridor a little bit wider but not crazy 3 blocks wide. Then we'll have a branch off this side which will go to a room. Another one to a bunk room here, and then we'll have our bathroom off this bit. Let's design one of the bunk rooms first, I think. Okay, so I got one block here between where the glass is meant to see rock and this wall. So I feel like if I pop in the half blocks, I'll be able to get a nice clean wall here and not have it show through. Because if I used a full block, I'd see it on the other side, which is what I don't want to do. Now, I'm going to try and make this bunk room a little bit nicer than the ones over in the silo. So they're going to have a nice big tall ceiling, just like the rest of the base. I'm not going to make them feel cramped. But I need to have a quick look through the G menu to see what we've got. We could use these style of bunk bed, but there is something nice about them. But they don't fit in with the rest of the stuff that I've used. So I probably won't use those. I think I will just use these standard ones. And we can replace that. But then I need some niceties in here. And I'm not sure whether I want to use lockers at the end of the bunk room or if I want to go with something like these cabinets. And maybe put a seat in here as well. Grab a seat. Could even put a TV in here. No, no TV. We go with the nicer stuff up this end. So if I put in table and chairs, then bench corner. So it can be too close. I might extend one side out a little bit further to give me room for that. I'll weld this up in a moment just so that it's a bit easier to see what's going on. Just want to lay out a bit more before I do that. We go with a bunk bed there. Maybe make it for 6 people. Do bunk, bunk, or 8 people. Do it that way. 4 bunks like that. Then we could put a bench and a bench corner right there. And then I can use the lockers. In fact, maybe just 1 bench and 2 lockers so that we've got 8 because that'll match to the number of beds in the room. Like that. Something like that. Alright, I'm going to weld this up so that it looks a lot easier to see what's going on. Alright, let's have a look at how it feels coming in. So I've kind of cramped up the corridor a little bit, but not too much. It looks quite similar to how I did the medical room corridor. And then you come in here, and the feel I was going for in this space was not military bunkhouse. It was more bunkhouse in a sort of a cabin type feel. Something that people might actually pay to visit because they want to slightly rough it, but not too rough it, and go in a tent. Something where there's a bit of space, but it is still a single room where a whole bunch of people have to sleep. And I think I kind of have that feel. We've got a couple of tables, we've got our 8 beds, and we got locker space for everybody. If you've got an idea of how I could rearrange this so it might look better, let me know, because I'm definitely open to suggestions for variety on this so that I don't do all of the bunk rooms the same way. But my idea was to do maybe 4 or 5 of these, since that'd be 40 staff. And then we can do the more high level I guess. Staff rooms and sleeping quarters. My plan is to do this area in a different color palette to the cafeteria. Oh. I'm just gonna be lazy. In a different color to the cafeteria so that we've got a cooler color palette. So more greens and blues than the reds, oranges, and yellows. I think that could work. So probably, I suppose, maybe I'll go a tealy color for the bed sheets so that it's different to the medical ones, which are the proper blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up this room and do the roof. Then we'll get onto the bathroom. Once we've got the bathroom in, then I'll have a bit of a go at painting this and see how it might best look. This is about the size of the space I was thinking we'd have to work with for the bathroom. So it extends back as far as the bunk room. And I was hoping to fit it all in 3 blocks. So we'd have a row to walk on, a row for sinks or something, and a row for the showers. But then I remembered we also need toilets. So I'm hoping it'll still fit, but I guess we'll see. The sinks I was thinking of using were obviously not the ones with the coffee maker, but I was hoping I could use these ones. They do look very kitchen sinky though. I was kind of didn't remember that they had that drying rack area. They just look nicer having the cabinets. But I think we will have to go with the more utilitarian sink. Oh. So if we go with 1, 2, 3 sinks, then I suppose I could put the toilets down this end. Go with the toilet there. And then use... Can I get away with the normal doors? Let's see. Unfortunately, the only offset door I have is the industrial offset. So I've got to make do with these because I've stuck with the mods this long. I'm not going to be changing them anytime soon. Wonder if that'll still leave me enough room. Could get 3 cubicles in. Yeah, there's plenty of room there. Then use half slabs in between. Might even be able to do this. Then we've got this other half for the showers. Or I could even continue one further. Because I don't think the showers need all that much room. Although I suppose we do have... I'm going to need possibly more showers. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I could do 8. That seems too many. Maybe I'll go 6 facing each other like that. Then do these cubicles for the toilets a little bit further along. This corner is going to look a little bit annoying, but I don't think we can really do it any different. Yeah. I think this will feel like a decently appointed bathroom. It's obviously a shared bathroom, so it's not opulent or, you know, something that people will love to go into, but I don't feel like this is depressingly cramped in here. We've got plenty of room in this space with, I built a little bit of extra blocks into the ceiling. I think I kind of like that it's a little bit cramped vertically, a little bit more than it was. I think it was too high, but it's certainly not feeling low and tight like it does over in the silo where it's only a single block. I think this mostly works. There's certainly the person on the top bunk here is going to smack their head if they're not careful. But from down here, not too bad. Not too bad of you to wake up to. And then rush off down to your showers. So that'll be accommodation once I finish this wing over here for 16 people, which I feel is pretty good. So, last thing I wanted to do was I want to color this, and I've got this blue, but I don't think I'm going to use that blue. I think we'll go with something around here, get a little bit of saturation, a bit brighter. I think this is going to be a horrible color, but let's have a look. Interesting. Let's spray everything, see what they turn up as. Not sure how I feel about that. Let's try a little bit more towards blue. More saturation, a little bit darker. Let's see how that works. Yeah, that's more the color I was thinking. It's kind of horrible. It's kind of terrible in so many ways. What can we do with the chairs? Maybe we go really light blue. Something like that. I don't hate it. I really want to paint the walls. But if I start painting the walls, I'll end up having to paint more and it'll cause problems out in the hallway. That's one of the reasons why I've stuck with the white walls for most things, is because then you've got the same color wall on the outside as on the other side of the block, so you don't have to have double thick walls to end up painting things. It's just one of those things you have to live with Space Engineers, that you can't, if you don't want to have thick walls, you can't really paint each room a different color. I am tempted to, instead of painting, why am I jiggling? Weird. Instead of painting these, what if I painted the floor? Wish I had carpet. I think it'd work better in this color. This is going to be so overwhelming. This is the kind of fun that I wish I could have with... I don't immediately hate it. Huh. Let me know what you think about this. I'm very tempted. I'm very tempted to have a bit more color in the living spaces by coloring the floors. I will reverse all of these interior blocks so that they're the flat surface on top. So today's going to be a bit of a shorter one because it took me forever to put together that medical scanner. Next time, we'll keep working on expansions of the living quarters and hopefully be able to figure out a way to rotate this contraption so that it can then drill the sideways tunnel and then eventually the tunnel back to the main corridor. So there's all that and plenty more to come, and I will see you then. Please tell me you like the teal. Aqua. Actually, tell me what color you think that floor is. I'm interested. I'll see you next time.